Hello and welcome to Interactive CAD and Tech. Today I'm going to be going through how you fly the DJI Mini and Mini 2 legally in the UK. So this is an update on my last video because after some comments and a bit more research I realised you have a bit more freedom with this very light drone, which makes it a really good drone to own. So let's get started, and it's just a quick summary of the rules and regulations. So just to get started, when anyone flies a drone in the UK Civil Aviation Authority classes three types of flight. So there's A1, A2, A3. A1 is flying over people, A2 flying close to people, and A3 flying far from people. So legally, the DJI Mini 2 can fly in any of those categories, which makes it a very unrestricted drone to use, which is really good. So just to carry on from that, drone classifications. So you have flight classifications and drone classifications. Under the new regulations, drones and model aircraft are split into 5 classes, 0 to 4. You must follow these class requirements if your drone or model aircraft has a class mark. At the minute, DJI Mini and Mini 2 are not classed because they are a legacy drone. They came out before the class system came out. So you have to follow the weight requirements of the aircraft instead. If your drone doesn't have a class marking, which it doesn't, drones under 250 grams can be flown in the A1 subcategory, which is great. So that applies to the DJI Mini 2. So you have very little restrictions on where you can fly because it's so light. So drone licensing. So because the DJI Mini 2 is classed as below 250 grams, not a toy with a camera, by law you need an operator ID but not a flyer ID. When I went to register this, I couldn't find a way to actually get an operator ID without getting a flyer ID. But because you have to pass a theory test, and I was a complete amateur, I thought it's probably best to get a flyer ID as well. So the flyer ID is the person actually flying the drone. So, for example, children can have flyer IDs, but they don't need an operator ID because the operator is the person who's actually responsible for the aircraft. So a parent can be responsible for the aircraft and have a flyer ID as well. But the children only need flyer IDs to actually fly the drone legally and safely. So an operator ID is £9 and it's valid for 1 year. So that's the person who's responsible for the drone. And a flyer ID is free and lasts up to 5 years. So what you must do is to be legal is you must label your operator ID on your drone. So it needs to be visible from the outside or within a compartment that's easily accessed without using a tool. Clear, block capitals, taller than 3mm, secure, safe from damage, and on the main body of the aircraft. So you must, when you get your operator ID, put it on your drone. I have a label maker at work, so I just printed off a label and stuck it on the top of my drone. So I'm legal and compliant. So this is where there's the change from the last video. So I had a comment on my last video saying, being a sub 250 gram UAV, you are not restricted by the 50mm standoff distances within the UK. You are also permitted to fly directly overhead, but not crowds of uninvolved, and initially it's perfectly legal to fly the Mini or Mini 2 in congested industrial or residential areas, providing you adhere to CAP 722 regulations at all times. So I'll put a link for CAP 722 in the bio of the video. So these are the basic drone rules you must follow to be legal and compliant in the UK. So you must always keep your drone in a model aircraft, in direct sight. So never fly it behind a building where you can't see it or behind an obstacle. Never fly more than 400 foot off the ground or 120 meters. So this is where this is a change from my last video. So drone law says never fly closer than 50 meters to people. But because this is a sub 250 gram UAV, you can, by law, actually do that. And you can also fly closer to buildings as well. You're not restricted to those standoff distances. So the first 2 drone rules you have to follow are always keep it in sight and always keep it under 120 meters. Never fly over crowds. So 2 or 3 people that can easily scatter is not classed as a crowd. But any, so if it's a group of people that can easily scatter away from a falling aircraft, that's how the Civil Aviation Authority classes a crowd. But it's best to stay away from crowds. It's just common sense, really. Never fly closer than 150 meters to built-up areas. That doesn't apply to this drone. Like I said in the last video, because it's a sub 250 gram drone, you are actually legally allowed to fly in built-up areas with this drone. Never fly close to airports or in restricted areas. That's just common sense. I wouldn't ever take my drone anywhere near an airport. It's illegal to fly a drone without the operator ID on, which is what I covered before. So out of these 4 rules, the DJI Mini 2 can actually be flown in a built-up area because of how light it is legally. So the next stage is always check your airspace. There's apps built into most drones, but if not, you can use the NATS app to check for obstacles and any restrictions within the airspace. I always do that before I go flying. So a summary of how to legally fly in the UK: sign up for an operator ID and a flyer ID, and label your drone with that operator ID. Check airspace on the NATS app or using your own drone app, and follow the drone code, and you should be fine. There should be no legal issues while flying your drone. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll keep everyone updated. Thanks for watching.